Hello, everyone. Welcome to eLearnChat, where talk is knowledge. I'm joined today by Dawn Mahoney. Hey, Dawn, how are you?
Hi, I'm glad to be here in wintry Wisconsin. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. How about where you are?
No. Anyway, anyway, here we go. Here's our intro, and then we will introduce our guest today.
Yay.
And hi, everyone. Again, welcome. And today we've got with us a learning architect.
Yay. Isn't that a great title?
It is it's a very good title. And she is from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Her name is, and some of you may know her already, I'm sure, Melissa Milloway. Hey, Melissa, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
We're doing great.
Glad you're here from the city of brotherly love.
Yes, yeah, it's very rainy right now.
Oh, yeah, maritime climate there. But you're expecting snow just like me. Rick is
Yeah.
left out.
Yes, it's switching over soon.
Just in time for everybody to travel.
That's usually the way it works.
Yeah, typically. That's why I'm going tomorrow. Less people on the road. Definitely.
Yeah, me too.
So how did you get the title of learning architect?
So I don't know that I necessarily got the title. There's a lot of different titles for instructional designers and e-learning developers, and I think they fall into specific areas. And that's just one of the more popular ones. So I think it's appealing to people when you post for jobs, and that's one of them. Because some people
totally
are e-learning developers, some people are instructional designer, some people are learning architects. That's a newer one, I think.
Does that mean that I'll grab the group that's looking for younger people? I'm all about that. So
I'm not sure. I wouldn't take a job based on the title. It would be more based on the skill set and what the job entails. So
yeah, I'm totally stealing it from my LinkedIn page.
It sounds pretty cool though.
Yeah, it invites the question. So tell me more about that and how you got that title.
Was that the actual question, Dawn?
Yes, that was the actual question. I know I just asked it, but that's what it would invite because I've been in this industry a long time and I haven't seen that until today. So
You haven't?
It intrigues me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it might be because it's newer. The thing is though that no matter who you meet on the street, if you say you're an instructional designer or that you're a learning architect, they're not going to know what it is. So it's better. You're better off just explaining what it is versus telling people your title.
Yeah. True. Well, and I like that it doesn't go down the path of one thing or the other. It's learning as a holistic thing versus I'm an e-learning instructional designer or, because that's kind of what I do. I do OD, I do e-learning, etc.
Yeah, and I wear a lot of hats as well, so I feel like it does fit that. Like, people aren't necessarily targeting me as a developer or a designer or, someone who's doing strictly analytics. So I can fit into any kind of category. But I mean, I do specialize in specific things. So,
which are?
So right now, I'm doing more e-learning development, but in the past, I was doing more on the instructional technology side, which was actually teaching people how to use technology, it's kind of funny because it encompasses both things. It's teaching and it's technology.
And what kind of technology in the learning sphere or?
Yeah, exactly.
Microsoft
Learning technology, which is really funny. So I was doing things with teaching our employees how to use our content management systems for iPad apps and teaching them how to use Adobe Connect for virtual meetings and virtual classes, teaching people how to use Captivate and different tools like that. So any kind of tool that you would be associating with learning technology or even not, so I would be teaching on.
Great. Especially the Adobe side, it sounds like.
Yes, yeah. But now I'm getting into Storyline and Articulate products a lot more. So I'm kind of focusing on that for my e-learning development right now.
So how do you like the differences between some of the products? They're similar, but all a little bit different.
Yeah, I think that they are all pretty similar. When you get into one and you really learn one, you can easily transition to another one. I prefer Storyline right now because they have such a great community,
Mm-hmm.
and their community helps a lot, and that's a great way that I develop my skills. So yeah, I prefer it because of that, but it's also pretty intuitive to use.
Right. It's a cool product.
Yeah,
So
definitely. It definitely is. There's a lot you can do with it that you wouldn't think that you could do.
I think it's a very contribution oriented community, and they seem to really be doing a great job of keeping it fresh, and you get your answers quickly from the group. I love the community. Even though I don't even have Storyline, I still like to go out there and poke around.
You lurk there, don't you?
I actually post things from time to time too. But yes, I'm a lurker too.
Yeah, I'm always lurking on the community, but I also post a lot of stuff. But it's so great because you get to know everyone, and we even talk through Twitter, and we post all of our different things that we develop and share. And so it's great because you can share files and deconstruct the files and figure out how people did things. And you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't think about doing it this way. So it's great to have that option and help you learn the tool better.
I think it's social learning at its finest.
Yes,
People
it's
are
great
willing
because
to
there's so
give.
many people and so many MOOCs that are doing that right now too. And I think I sent Rick a link to Udemy because that's one of those that's doing it. The classes are very social, even though they're not synchronous. You can download the files, and if you run into an issue, like I ran into an issue with one of the files I was working with for a gaming program, and people answer right away. So they're not necessarily on, but they answer within minutes.
Yeah, and it definitely helps. That's how Twitter became a tool that I use, as a work from home person. Post a question, and I can get anywhere from 2 to 22 responses. And that
Now,
and that
it's funny.
matters.
I've had just the opposite response. When I post a question, I rarely get a response. And I think my questions are either too arcane or too specific.
That could be.
And it's
That could
interesting
be.
because, I get into some really weird, like, how do you do certain things with video or audio? And it's just most people either don't know or don't go on Twitter who do that. So it's just sort of interesting. It just depends what you're asking, and depends
Yeah,
on the groups
I
and
mean,
everything else.
my PLN is completely curated from, people that I didn't know, but asking certain questions. Like Tom Spigline and I are friends because I posted a WordPress question one day. It was just random. So I haven't gotten into Udemy. I'll have to. Did I say that right? Udemy.
You know what? I don't even know if I said it right. So
Udemy.
I don't think they have any
Udemy.
advertisements that they're announcing their name in. So I
Okay,
just
then we
say,
can call it whatever we want to.
yeah, exactly.
I haven't gone there, but are you doing courses on there, or are you just using it as another social stream for gaining knowledge? and
So
stuff?
I use it if I want to learn a specific tool. Say like I've been doing stuff with designing games, so I can take a class on there if I need to, and it probably takes me like a weekend to get through, and then I'm done with it, and then I can move on to the next one. So I use it kind of as needed.
So that's another option, like lynda.com and others.
Yeah,
There.
exactly. It's a lot like lynda.com. It's just a different platform. It's more of a MOOC because some of the things are free as well.
Oh, okay. I'm all about
Now,
that.
since you brought it up, let's talk a little bit about gamification.
I hate that word.
It's a weird it's a weird word. I frankly, from the games I've seen in e-learning, I'd say you just keep them. Most of them aren't that good. If you're used to gaming, real gaming, then they seem so primitive. It's not even worth it.
It's true.
And-
But the
and-
badges matter.
I guess they do to some people. But what do you think about gamification? Where it's going, effectiveness, what needs to be done to make it better? Where we are with it?
Oh my gosh. So I wish I could say something that's like really cool and new that no one's heard, because I feel like gamification is just the topic that's out there and everyone's talking about it. I've heard the same thing like 500 times. I hear new stuff like Dr. Carl Kopp, who was my professor. He's awesome. I'm going to give a shout out to him because he wrote a few books on gamification. My feeling, and as like a longtime gamer, because I think I have over like a year of hours playing World of Warcraft. I played from 2006 to 2012. I was a hardcore gamer. I don't do it anymore because it takes up way too much of my time. But that kind of game it's very, very like 3D, it's hard to replicate. You can't replicate that in a learning sense unless you use something like Unity, and it's still not going to come close.
And it's it's very immersive too, so you've got to be in that whole environment.
It's so social, and there's so many benefits to it, and it's just crazy the amount that you can spend in there. And if that was a learning tool, oh my gosh, the field of learning would be transformed completely. If we could do simulations and things through an environment like that, that would be insane. If the social aspect was added and people were actually working together to accomplish something and do something that they would be doing in real life, that would be amazing. But I mean, that's more serious gaming in a sense.
Now they tried that with Second Life. Do you remember Second Life, which now is pretty much Afterlife? Nobody ever talks about it anymore.
I love Second Life.
Yeah, but people don't talk about it much anymore.
I know,
it doesn't have any buzz.
On your computer, if you don't have a big enough, you need a gamer computer to use it.
You think?
So,
yeah, probably to a point.
You know, corporate, you can't open it in any corporate environment that, would be mentioned.
I've heard it's gotten sort of trashy too. You have to be careful where you go on Second Life. It's not what it used to be.
It's Second Life in
every
meaning that goes with that.
Oh, and so someone just said gamification is not the same as games. That's absolutely true. Gamification is completely separate from games. Serious games are more of the simulation type of games where you're actually doing something that you would be doing in real life, but you're doing it inside of like something through Unity that was created through Unity. And then gamification is more taking the game mechanics and game elements and using those to solve problems, real world problems. So they're completely different. And I just wanted to point that out because someone asked.
Yep, that was Leva. And she's right. But it has kind of gotten all morphed into one because we're talking about using the same skill set or skills that you've developed in the gaming world and applying them to work.
Well, it's interesting. I have worked with several SMEs and some instructional designers who said, we're going to create a game. And I've mentioned this on other shows. And the idea of a game is 50 questions. And I go, no, that's torture. Why are you doing that to people? That's not a game. And they don't get anything at the end either. No badge, nothing. You just did 50 questions. You're tired and you hate the course.
No, that's a quiz.
Yeah, it's a quiz.
50 is a test.
Yeah, and I said 50. One person we knew, she wanted to do 100 questions. Are you crazy? I mean, that just drives people insane. But that is what a lot of people are thinking is gamification. How they got a game out of questions is beyond me.
I think that's more of a quiz.
It's a quiz, yeah.
That's just a quiz. But I mean, quizzes are good. They can be used to, personalize learning a bit more before you get into something. So you take a quiz beforehand and it targets exactly like what you should be taking in a course. Maybe you only take certain sections, or maybe you get something delivered to you that's different. But I see that she's taking the gamification MOOC, which I also took. I think it's the one on Coursera with Kevin Warbach. I think it's through Penn. And that one's really, really good. So if anyone's watching and is looking for a MOOC, there's a gamification one on Coursera that's really great. And Kevin Warbach actually taught a workshop in Philadelphia through the link that I sent you for the Philly Ed Tech meetup. So that was a really great resource as well. And we actually designed our own gamification projects while we were there, which was really neat.
So Adam Weisblatt is in the chat room, and he said Jeopardy is just a quiz with a mustache. It's almost the end of No Shave November. It seems appropriate to post that in here today. And he said, yes, game elements can add engagement as long as they aren't just tacked on. And it's true. I think because it's so big and growing, the people coming into our workplace are used to playing games like World of Warcraft and all the other ones. We need to be applying those types of skills in how we do immersive learning environments. And I'll admit that I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, and I agree. It's very, very difficult. And I think there's a time and a place for games for serious games or gamification. And I mean, some people, they like things like Farmville. They learn from things like Farmville. And if it's applied in the right way, yeah, I guess it works. I would prefer myself, if I was taking a learning game, for it to be more of story based, something that would be true to life, like more of like a simulation. I do enjoy gamification, but I don't think that, I think it has to be used in the right context. You know, if there's a problem that
I
it
think
addresses.
stories are the only way to
solve.
go, as you know, because of what we're doing. Hopefully we're layering on skills that they already have and in engaging them with learning something new. It has to be a story based, or it has to be threaded somehow.
Now, that brings
that
up a
way.
good point, because one of the things people talk a lot about stories, but learning how to write a story is very different from just putting out a course.
True.
And
Takes more
and,
time
and, and
too.
I've said for years that one of the things we need to have instructional designers do is learn how to do script writing, screenwriting, so that they learn how to write a little more interactively and they learn how to tell a story better. And that's usually not taught in a lot of the instructional technology and design courses and classes. They talk, it's almost more of almost in many cases, a tech writing kind of teaching where you're trying to make something more understandable, but not really a story per se, where you've got a beginning, a middle, and end, maybe a climax, and a point you're trying to get across. And part of it's, I think, time and budget. People don't have time to really write a lot of that. But what do you think about the story writing aspect of learning, Melissa?
I love it. And I love it, especially if you can make it personalized to the person that's taking it. So
Agreed.
maybe not just a story, but like, have you ever read a book where it's like choose your own ending kind of book?
Mm-hmm.
So there's books like that, and I would like it for it to be interactive and, you know, based on what you actually choose. Like, what are all the things in life that you would choose based on this scenario? Of course, there's endless possibilities. If it would be in a perfect world, we would be able to choose anything and just make up our own. But obviously, that's not going to happen. But it takes a lot of investment to investigate. So what are these people going through in their job every day? Like, what are the most prevalent issues that are arising that we could, you know, throw these different different options in, and they could choose one and it would take them a different route, and to choose another, it would take them a different route. And that would be ideal. But yeah, that's a lot of investment, a lot of time that people don't have. And also I would say that the writing is a huge effort. I'm not like the best writer ever. It would take me forever to just sculpt that and make sure that it's something that people could understand what I'm trying to get across. So it's not too messy or too simple. It has to be perfect.
Well, and giving learner control means that we'd have to build multiple iterations, and often the request for the course, if we're talking the course, is here's what they need to know. Those people over there that are going to be taking this course need to know X, and there's not divergent paths. There's one path. That's why we get stuck.
Well, you know, it's interesting. It's true. And a lot of times companies just want to get it out there fast, quick, dirty. They don't want you to learn per se as much as they want to be indemnified. So it's a little bit different. But one thing also is in the writing, we don't really challenge people too often. And I know we have tried for years. I keep, when I have my hand on, I usually try to put some sort of question that they have no idea how to answer, just to set a point of, okay, you don't know how to answer it, but let's see if we can work our way back to figuring it out. And it always gets knocked down. No, we don't want them doing that because they don't know this. Well, yeah, but you're trying to get to the point where they may know this or they know something similar, and now we can use, apply the knowledge of something you do know to solve a problem. No, we don't solve problems.
It compels them to continue taking the course instead of opting out.
Right, yeah, but what happens usually is companies say, no, we don't want to do that. It's like, okay. You know, it's an interesting always tug of war, if you will, trying to get better learning or better training when that's not exactly what a lot of companies are interested in.
No, like you said, compliance.
Melissa?
Yeah, there has to be a return on investment for them. I think that's what people in upper management and up higher in the company are looking for. You have to have a good case for it. I wish it wasn't like that, and I think in the future it's not going to be like that. But to your point, what would be awesome to do is if you could just go into work, and if you were going to create a training, you could just videotape people all day and see everything that comes up and go back and look through all the videotape and find it. But obviously it's a time issue. It's an investment issue. There's just so many issues, and I think there just has to be a workaround for it, and maybe not everyone has a clear answer for what to do in those situations. where the time is more than the investment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you. Videotaping them and making that be real world. But, you know, there's so much tied up in, if we're going to videotape these people, then ... legal gets involved. And
well, more videotape from like a research perspective, more
Agreed.
something that you can go back and look on and say, you know, these are the most prevalent situations and these are the ones that come up all the time, the tough to answer questions and those things that you guys were referring to. And go back and create something based on that video.
Now, it's interesting. One of my friends, and you know him, Dawn, you may also know him, Melissa, and that's Jeff Blanchard in Australia. And he works at a company called Milloway, which is a large appliance manufacturer, high-end appliances. And he spent, not long ago, 2 full days doing time-lapse photography in the warehouse so that then they could learn from watching all of the different things they do in the warehouse. I thought that was kind of cool. Something totally different.
on-the-job training.
Yeah.
Can't
And then
beat
they
it.
could see the processes, how long it took to build a warehouse, how long it took to stock it and everything else. And then they analyzed the patterns and everything. That was neat. That's kind of a cool approach to learning. It was all done with video. And then he would add, comments, and they would kind of dissect what they did.
Yeah, I think that is completely awesome. And if more people can do that, yeah, that's amazing. Because I think people can tell stories and you can get things from word of mouth or from viewing people, but really going back and really analyzing what's going on and what people are doing, I think that's got to have some sort of, return on investment for that in itself. You'll find, oh my gosh, these people are doing this in such an inefficient way when you look at it. Or, they should have totally reacted differently. We should have some sort of training on that. Or maybe it's not even training, maybe there's an issue that's completely different. And then you find out that training's not the answer. But just in general, I think that's a great idea. And we did that with coaching when I was in pharmaceutical sales. We would actually videotape the people going through the sales process, and then they would go back and review it with them. And we had actors come in and everything. It was crazy. It was really neat to see. And you can see, oh, well, these people are, maybe they're reacting this way all the time, but we want them to do something different. So let's institute something that changes what they're doing.
Yeah, you could use it for quality. You could use it for, like you say, retraining, training, safety. There's so many aspects of it. I want to use it just to teach people how to lift and carry appropriately. Because we need that. Safe backs in my world is a big deal. So,
yeah, I agree. It's that would be really neat to do.
A lot of application for watching people. Well, and asking them. We don't always ask them about what's the truth about where they work, and that's probably the most eye-opening conversation we'd ever have. The people doing the job. Instead of telling them what we want them to know, let's ask them what they need to know. What a concept.
That's true. That's true.
I'm big on needs assessment.
I am too, and that's something that we've been getting away from in our field a lot, or at least that's what it seems like from talking to a lot of my peers and other people in the industry.
I agree.
So,
in 20 years, I think we've done maybe 3 needs assessments.
Really?
Nobody wants them. They don't want to pay for them. They don't want to do it. We've done about 3. Yeah, we've done about 3. And we always offer, no, we don't need it. We know what we want. And of course, once you do it, they don't really know what they want. Then they go, oh, that's not what we want, but it's what you said you wanted. Well, we didn't know what we wanted. You didn't do a needs assessment.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, and sometimes I'm feeling like, someone tells you, we need this course.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go and develop it. And maybe some people take it, maybe some people don't. And you're like, I could have spent my time working on something that would have really impacted the company if we had done a needs assessment and known that this is something that they truly need, not just that somebody's telling us to do. And that's my biggest struggle, I think, in general, is especially being an individual contributor anywhere, is that your say, even if you can prove it, isn't as impactful as, say, someone who's more at a senior level.
I just keep, I'm like the little tiny drum beating it. Even if it's phone call and asking 5 questions, I just feel like it's imperative. But more importantly is I think back to the days when I worked in call centers, and I just spend time watching people and observing them in work, and I'd read the Post-it notes they had all over, and those were their cheat sheets. And I thought, oh, that's brilliant. Why aren't we looking at that and taking that into account? So even, like I said, even if it's a one question, I do some sort of needs assessment. I just believe in it that strongly.
Yeah. Do we have any comments in the chat room yet?
Oh, Adam posted time-lapse analysis for learning for warehouses. Great. Wish we could do for knowledge work. Yeah, I think we all want that. That would be our ideal. So, the question that we won't solve here, but to ponder is, how can we come up with a system to do something like that, where we can be more effective and provide a product that matters more?
Well, I still think cattle prods are highly underutilized. But
The cattle prod hasn't
But
come on
I
the
think
show
it
in a
also
long
brings
time.
up another question that people are going to have out there is, when you're on such a small team too, how do you get all of this done? If you're a one-man band or you're a team, a small team in learning and development, there's so much that you want to do, and it's like, how can I do everything? And
That would
that's
be one
something that
project.
I'd like to know myself, because it's something that I kind of struggle with sometimes.
Yeah, that's one project, and you probably have multiple projects going on at once.
Yeah, I mean, to go and videotape something and then to, do the needs analysis, you're doing your own marketing, you're doing everything. It's a lot of work, and it takes forever to get things out there. So, I mean,
but if you have no budget, and here's something
Yeah,
that
that too.
we've recommended. This happens all the time. Get interns. Get interns from local colleges, and they're more than willing to work. They work. A lot of people don't pay the interns. We believe in paying interns, but pay them a little bit. Just pay them something, anything.
Yeah.
But they get experience. They also get credits. A lot of times they'll save $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on a class just by getting the internship credit. So they do get paid kind of indirectly, but they usually want to work. They enjoy it, and then they can be that extra pair of hands and eyes and ears that you may not have time for, but you can send them off to do this, do that, and it's learning for them, and it's work and experience for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. We have an awesome intern, and some of the things that take up a lot of time for us to do, like maybe setting up an Adobe Connect classroom while I'm actually working with one of like a client or something. That's something that saves us a lot of time. If we could have like 10 interns, that would be nice.
Yeah.
But I guess that's not really realistic. But I agree with you.
Well, and it takes time to get them ramped up, whatever that means, unless you're going to have them in a very specialized area of what they, in quotes, already know how to do. But I agree, having students help, that script writing you were talking about earlier is an awesome way for people to get that experience. There are usually a couple areas of schools where they're required to write anyway, so it might be worth it. Taking time to teach, imagine that. We're in the learning field.
Now, mind you, if you have a lot of interns, it could turn into a lot of work for you. So you have to be careful.
Yes.
You have to also get the right interns. Not everybody who becomes an intern wants to actually work. So you have that issue too. But most of them have good attitudes, and they want to do something to make themselves better, to get more experience. Some just do it for the freebie, thinking they can get away with getting a free class and don't want to work. So those wind up being a drain.
But you need time.
You need time. You do need
to
time.
get your interns. So that's we're back to that usually.
Yeah, and you have to challenge them a little bit, because otherwise they won't learn.
Right.
So that's part of it. And then, of course, when you get to know the professors, and it sounds like, for example, in your case, Melissa, you know professors. So that's an in to getting people.
Yeah, and also I would say that it depends on the program that you're looking for too. Like I was talking to my one friend. He just started a company in Philadelphia. I guess not just, but it's like a social learning company. And I was talking to him about interns just yesterday, and we were saying, you have to hold people accountable. And I know Bloomsburg University, they had an internship director who actually they met with our director of the department when I was doing my internship every single week. I was held accountable for everything. So if you have that kind of relationship where there's someone from the university talking to the director of whatever department you're working in, and they're holding them accountable, I think that's a big thing. You don't want to just have someone who checks in like maybe at the end of the internship, because then I feel like when you're younger and you're doing an internship, you need that sort of management sort of guidance, because maybe you haven't had a real job before, not a real job, but like a job where it's more of like in a corporate environment. So I feel like that's necessary.
Yeah, you have to build a process.
Well, we've got about 5 more minutes today. Dawn,
Yeah.
Oh, that went fast.
It goes fast. Yep.
What have we missed? I know you've been showing screenshots of various things. Do you want to tell us about your Philly meetup that we've been seeing the screenshot about?
Oh yeah, so Donna Murdoch, she is from Philadelphia, and she's one of the people that runs this meetup, and it's awesome. And meetups are a great way to develop your skills, get to know people in the community that are in the same area as you, and just learn a lot in general. So we have one in Philadelphia. It's called Philly Ed Tech Meetup, but there's also different ones in different cities. You just have to go to meetup.com and kind of look around and find something. We just have a ton of things like that, and we meet around like once a month, and it's a great way to network, and people actually show their companies, and it's not just corporate, it's K through 12, it's higher ed, it's a mix of everything. You'll find anyone there, you know, even from the vendor side to just anyone in general that wants to learn about ed tech. So it's a great way to get those types of things. And we did have that gamification workshop, which was one of the great things that came out of that.
Got your feet wet, so to speak.
Yeah, and other things like ATD, that's great too. They have that basically in every city, I think. So so that's another outlet as well.
Meetups, you can start your own. If it's not available in your area, start your own, I would say.
Oh yeah, oh my gosh. That would be my biggest recommendation. If there's not an ed tech or a learning professionals meetup in your city, definitely, if you want that connection in that community, start it, because there will be people that give you space. They'll volunteer to give you space because you're giving back to the community. Yep.
I mean, my longtime ASTD, now ATDer, and we're pretty much everywhere, but not everywhere. So, and the nice thing about meetups, you can meet in person. If you set it up that you meet remotely, there's all kinds of options. It's your group, and you build it how you need it. Can't say enough. And then the Udemy screen, you were referred to that earlier. Is there anything else you want to tell us about that? What MOOCs have you participated in and so forth?
So I've used Udemy, but I've also used Coursera. For Udemy, I've been doing Construct 2 MOOCs. So that's more of a class that they teach you game development, but it's more what you see is what you get type of game development, paired with a little bit of coding, but hardly any coding. So it's really easy for other people. If you have any kind of interest, all you have to do is enter in the search bar what you want your class to be on, and you can find it. There's so much out there, and they have a lot of sales all the time, because some of the classes are free, but some are like, you know, $10, some are $20, some are $50. It just depends on the type of class.
Open Sesame is another one that has all levels of things. Brain Shark. We talked about lynda.com. And all the MOOCs, most of the MOOCs I've come across are free. I haven't seen anyone that has a fee.
I think there's also edX. I think that's one. There's a great class that my boyfriend is taking, the Harvard CS50 class. It's supposed to be one of the best computer science classes ever, and he's learned so much through that, and they've created so many different projects already. So I've heard that that's highly recommended. But there's tons of different platforms where you can take learning, and it's easy and it's quick.
I participated in a live event on the web by Harvard earlier in the spring, where they talked about all the information they've gathered by going into MOOCs and what they plan to do in the future. So I'm glad to hear that actually hear of somebody that's participating in one of their MOOCs. It was a really interesting webinar.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them are free for the most part. And I think if they're not free, it's usually because you get a certificate, or you get more out of it. You get files, you get something out of it in return. So the ones that aren't free, that you're definitely getting something.
Yeah, there's a return on your investment, so to say.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts for us as we wrap up?
Oh my gosh. No, I don't think I have anything else to add. I could probably talk forever, so maybe I'll see you guys again and be on again.
We'd love that.
Well, we'd love to have you back on. And Melissa, thanks for taking the time today. And are you guys leaving early today? Because it's a nice holiday tomorrow.
Oh, I have off.
Oh, you're off. Perfect.
Yes.
That's great.
I'm working all day today.
Well, for all you people in the chat room and everyone watching and just about everybody out there here in the States, it is Thanksgiving tomorrow. So we give thanks, and for a day we remember a couple of good things. So hopefully we keep that thought going. And have a good Thanksgiving, everyone. Melissa, thank you so much for taking the time today. Dawn, safe travels next week. And we will see you guys next week on eLearnChat. Have a good one, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.
Bye.